What is up, dudes? Here is Grippa. Today's video is gonna be about buff or debuff of the current tanks from this battle pass event. Many people say that some tanks gonna be nerfed, some of them gonna be buffed, some of them are too weak, some of them needs a buff. Let's start with the tier 7, the Civi 9105 TML. This tank, first and foremost, you have to upgrade the tanks. Currently the tank, in my opinion, the tier 7, it's kinda, decent. You have some buffs, but when it comes to gun depression, gun elevation, forward, backward, sights, the tank, it isn't the best one. As for this tank, as I played several matches with him, this tank kinda needs a buff when it comes to reloading time, or at least another ability. Now, if it's gonna be nerfed, then it's gonna be like the worst thing to happen to this tank, because this tank needs a buff. The tier 8 Civi 90 MK4. This tank is the counterpart of the tier 8 Stalker. It's very similar in gameplay and profile, only that this one Stalker doesn't have any infantry, does have radar, which it helps quite a lot. Will this tank get a buff? Well, I think this tank is decent. The moment it's gonna be upgraded, it's gonna be better. And I'm not joking. This tank doesn't need any more upgrades. It's exactly what an AFV, in my opinion, should be. Not such a big profile, good ATGM guidance, good machine gun, good view range, good camo, good reloading time, good damage per minute for a tier 8, good mobility, good utility. Even though it could have been better than the utility, but it doesn't matter. You are an AFV, and the moment you're gonna shoot, you're gonna decrease your camo, but the view range is also quite great, and the targeting also. Will this tank get a debuff or a buff? Probably it's gonna get a debuff in the near future, probably because of the reloading time of the ATGMs, or probably because of the cannon, but who knows, it comes up to the game players and so on. Civi 9120 Ghost, as I play with this tank first-handed, stock. This tank needs a freaking buff, man. It's, as I said in the last video, this is the last light tank at tier 9 premium that I will play with. It's not one of the best light tanks. First and foremost, he needs more penetration. He's a light tank, even though if you get this small upgrade, the 850 penetration, which you get 50 millimeters of penetration, doesn't help a lot. The moment the distance between target, it's gonna be diminished, so ain't the best one. Second of all, hit ammo, it's not the best one. Hit is normal hit, and shockingly, when I was playing with this tank, I was expecting to be a hit FS or hit MP or a different type of hit. Not this type of hit that you find it on tier 1 to 5 and some upper tiers. It's disappointing to see this coming. The gun is fine, but if you upgrade the tank, you're gonna get 120mm smoothbore cannon, which you reload a bit longer, but you have 6 shells in the magazine and you unload the shells pretty fast, but still doesn't make a difference. The same problem as with the tier 7, you're gonna end up without ammo pretty fast. Thanks God in the game we have the Q tab, so we can get our ammo back. Buffs, I will say also to the armor, because yeah, the armor is not the best one. It is the worst among all of them. It says it's composite, but it doesn't help a lot. Yeah, it's disappointing. I was expecting this tier 9 to be like, honestly, like Hunter, to have that armor frontally, that it's very, very interesting, and it can make the tank survive quite a lot, and it's not like so paper as, some other tanks. So I expect from this tank to get a buff, a strong buff in the near future. Probably it's gonna be in a few months, but I cannot guarantee you guys. Keep in mind, this is a premium tank. Anything can happen, it can be nerfed, it can be buffed and nerfed again. STRV 2000 or Stridswagen 2000. Many players said and asked me, will this tank get debuffed in the near future? Will it get nerfed in the near future? And in my opinion, it is a 60-40. A 60 to not be debuffed or nerfed, and a 40% to get nerfed. The nerfing is gonna come upon, let's say, hit ammunition, penetration, probably, or damage, or the AP ammunition penetration. Autocannon, the small autocannon, or the machine gun, or as you want to call it, whatever. probably it's gonna get a debuff. Keeping in mind this tank has a 230 penetration and the object 105 it has 205 penetration. So the tank is pretty, you know, strong, I can say. Strong tank. Will it get a debuff? In my opinion, no. If it gets a debuff, then it's gonna be a freaking huge boycott in this game. The tank, it's not the fastest. Defense is fine. It says 70 kilometers an hour, but the tank acceleration, it's like being drunk. It's not the fastest tank. It's slow. The tank, it's slow. Probably is gonna get a buff on the side armor. Probably, I can't guarantee. Even though the tank in the front it's paper, like 1 in 3 matches you can be set on fire by AI or in PvP or in global op. The tank can survive some nice shells. The only thing that it bothers me, it is, okay, this tank has override, but I think it needs another stuff, and that's gonna be like the cap for the tank itself. Keeping in mind, Merkava lines are built upon STRV tanks, Swedish tanks, which Swedish tanks tend to have hydraulic suspension or pneumatic suspension or whatever. It makes the tank to lower down, okay? Merkava, or the people who built the Merkava tanks, they took, let's say, the design, because they have similar design as a Merkava. Imagine that this is the chassis of a Merkava. Just imagine that this tank, it can lower itself frontally and backward. It's gonna be freaking insane. If the tank lowers a bit frontally, just look at this. This is gonna be a very small area that you can pen, and all of this is 0 penetration. Like 0, you cannot kill this tank frontally. Yeah, you can go inside, which is very interesting to see this coming. And to get probably a debuff, just to have a penetration, let's say, of 1000 penetration with 1000 damage. That's it, I will call on hit. On AP rounds, it might be 900 penetration with 800 damage or 850 damage. Can be also possible. Or it can nerf the machine gun from 230 to 205, same as object 1905, and give that ability. This tank needs a freaking ability, man. Even though it's a tier 10 and amazing, wow, it does a lot of damage. Well, it does a lot of damage in the hands of some players that knows to play with the freaking tank. It's not in the hands of every player, you know. I saw some players which they got over 100k damage in special operations, and I saw some players that done just 5k damage in PvE hardcore. So it comes up to the player. Not every player can do what others can. In my opinion, ain't gonna get a debuff. Well dudes, this was everything for today. Tell me what you think about the tanks. Tell me which one of these tanks, Civi-90-105 TML, Civi-90 MK4, Civi-90-120 Ghost, or STRV 2000 is gonna get a buff or a debuff in the future. Who knows? Peace out and see you next time.